And we will start recording. Awesome. Well, welcome to our special interview series. And today, right now, I'm super excited to have Julie on with us. Hi, Julie. I'm going to have Julie introduce herself in just a second. But Julie and I met a couple of years ago in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan on the beach yoga that I was teaching. And Julie was sitting there ready for some yoga, big smile, big shades, and everything turquoise. I remember everything matching turquoise. She just moved to the area. She just completed her life coach certification. And she basically blew it all up, left her life behind downstate Michigan, and moved up to Traverse City. So we've been friends ever since, and it's been really fun to watch you continue your personal growth journey and settle into the new community and build your life and business here. So welcome, Julie.
Thank you.
Oh, good. I can hear you well. Okay. Want to make sure the sound is good. So today we have a special occasion, and it just coincided so perfectly with this interview series that I wanted to run in March for no other good reason, but because it felt like a good time to build community and expand our community and shed some light on the subjects that, at least in my opinion, that don't always get a lot of airtime and don't get a lot of conversations. And I just want to be an advocate for self-improvement and personal growth and healing process. And who's a better person to talk about that than you? So welcome, Julie.
Thank you. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. So happy to have you. And the special occasion outside of the interview series and the subject and the topics, Julie has recently co-authored a book, Decision to Heal, which I kept calling Permission to Heal. But Decision to Heal, and Julie is one of the authors, and it's a collaborative effort. And I am super, super curious to learn more about that. And thank you for saying yes to this conversation and telling us a little bit about this book. But more importantly, for women listening, why should they care, right? And why should we, as adults, grown women, should turn inwards for healing, for repairing some past stories so we can truly thrive and succeed on our own terms.
Absolutely. Yes, it's called The Decision to Heal, Pathways from Suffering to Love. And for me personally, just going through years, really my whole life, in different capacities of abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and emotional abuse, bullying, um, really compounded things with destructive behaviors, binge eating, just no self-worth or acceptance, not loving myself, really just self-loathing. It was all just so destructive. And I started noticing more and more as I became an adult and through my adult years how much it was impacting me and how much I really was suffering in silence. And
Now come back, you froze up. All right, we had a little hiccup, but welcome, Julie. I'm going to turn it over to you for your intro.
thank you. So I'm not sure maybe what parts got cut.
We were just saying that you became a co-author of this book, and it comes from your personal experience. So if you can tell us a little bit what brought you to this point and how you decided to become an author and really contribute to this book that just got published.
Yes, absolutely. So for me, my personal experiences had been starting at a young age with abuse and bullying, and over time, further physical abuse, mental and emotional abuse, destructive patterns, a lot of which involved binge eating, self loathing, um, just very low to no self esteem, self worth. I didn't believe in myself. I really was struggling, and I really didn't believe that life could ever get any better. And I continued to find myself in abusive situations and was just very unhappy and really just hit a point where enough was enough, and I knew there had to be something more in this life for me to live my life. And um, it was really something too where for years I suffered in silence. And even when I would share things with friends, family, just people that were very close to me, even trying things such as therapy, I still wasn't quite breaking through. I wasn't
Yeah.
feeling really any better. And so I started down the path of coaching. And it was not only to learn about it and work to help myself, but also for my experiences to share with others and support others, because I know so deeply how it is to suffer in silence. And I felt so much desolation, just so very alone. And so what happened is through the course of coaching and meeting different coaches and sharing our experiences, um, one of my coaching friends reached out to me and we were talking about this amazing idea of just really sharing our stories and just realizing how much people really do suffer in silence and they feel so alone. We don't feel heard, we don't feel seen, we just feel so very alone in our emotions and just carrying so much shame, so much pain. And it ended up being that we coordinated with 6 authors. We just all got together and all just had this vision to really a passion, a mission for people to know that they truly are not alone, and that and I love the title of the book, The Decision to Heal, because it really is a choice. It's a decision that we make every day to be working on ourselves and the inner work. And another thing you said too is um, it's just, I think that it all really started as a little girl, the way that we are raised, and there's the expectations from society, and be a good girl so people like you. And it's like constantly seeking external validation and approval of who you are and your worth and your value. And what I have discovered, it took me a long time to get there, but what I discovered is that it truly is all within me. It's the turning inward and finding the solutions. And also for me, it is God, because I believe that's me. I have God within me. So some people may call it universe energy, spirituality, whatever it is, that higher energy. Um, and for me, it is God. And in working with my coaching tools and working further on myself and through this process, as well as the writing of the actual book, it was very cathartic. Um, it really cemented that knowing that my worth and just being enough and deserving is all within me. It's an innate birthright. And there's no external approval or validation that could ever could ever make that full within me. My own love is what I was missing. And so I really discovered that loving myself has been what I've completely been missing for my healing and for my joy.
Yeah, I
So
love
it's
it.
been a really beautiful collaboration putting the book together and for people to seek their own paths of healing and making that decision and having that support and that love.
Yeah, a couple of things you said that just caught my attention here. First thing is definitely the idea of going through your struggles alone. And I think nothing more than the last year has been an experience of us all experiencing or having the experience of a struggle or a challenge of some sort. And I know you know that about me, that one of my missions is to create a community and create that sense of you're not alone, you're a part of something bigger, and reaching out to women and basically pulling them in saying, okay, you're not alone, your struggle is not my struggle, but we can see each other in each other. And I think it's such a beautiful premise of the book, that saying my story is not your story, and maybe somebody didn't go through, you know, the stories that you have been through or experiences that you have had in your life, but we still have challenges, right? we're all our beautiful version of messed up, broken, or damaged in some sort. And it doesn't make us a victim, just as you said, but it also creates those scars that we have to somehow heal from and overcome and learn to find joy and purpose in life. And the journey is deeply individual, but you don't have to do it alone.
Absolutely. I love that. I completely agree that the experiences are very personal, but it's amazing in storytelling how much that really heals and how many people have reached out to me and the way that it's paralleling. Like our lives are just paralleling and we're so similar. And sometimes even the ways that the experiences and stories is told, that it might be told in a different way, but it's like the same. And
Mhm.
so different experiences, but also so the same, like the feelings, the emotions, and just the awareness of wanting to feel better and the awareness of how you want to be showing up and starting to really unpack that. It's so beautiful to just step into that space of saying yes to yourself and starting to explore and having the awareness. It's really eye opening, and it really is. It's a pathway to love. For me, it has really been a pathway to love and healing. And I truly believe that everyone, that's what everyone really does want. I believe that everyone wants the love and the belonging, and the more that we can unite and stop hiding behind a veil of shame and pain, and really taking that down and stepping into our authenticity of who we want to be, how we want to show up, that the healing, it just trails right along with all of that, and stepping into who you want to be, really opening your heart. And that's a beautiful process that I've been going through, and in the journey I'm on, and I'm taking everyone with me.
Awesome. Well, let's say you invite a person or people or somebody listens to this and says, I kind of like what she's saying, but I'm not sure where to start. And maybe I haven't experienced those dramatic or traumatic events in my life. So what would be a first step for somebody who is living a good life and things are good, but they don't feel fulfilled or they don't have the joy or they don't experience that contentment that we all desire? What would be your recommendation for somebody to start the journey?
I definitely think that that can be an individual thing. I think that even just noticing that friction within yourself, that just something isn't on, something
Hmm.
is just off. Even if you have this quote unquote beautiful life, you're happy. When you're feeling that something is off, I think for me personally, I did start into meditation, journaling, more reading, but I had tried other things that didn't quite hit it for me, such as um, a therapy. I've tried different therapists. I also tried some grief therapy after I lost my brother. Just things that just weren't working for me personally. And for me, it was starting into investigating coaching and and finding the type of coach for what it is you feel you want to explore with yourself. Such as for me, I knew that I was really struggling with not loving myself and not feeling confident or believing in myself. And so I went full in on coaching because I knew that's what I wanted to do. But as I continued to work through that, that's where I found my own um, coveted space within that
Hmm.
I specialize with and where I've grown. But I think where someone should start is just even having that awareness that they want something more. And there's so much now that we can search for online, as silly as that may sound, but I think
That's
that
true.
that can help us to find maybe a certain something we're looking for, whether it's a keyword search,
Hmm.
because I know that can feel challenging on where to start. Um, and so for me, a lot of that was a few years back, even starting to search for self love and things around like judgment and shame.
Hmm.
That brought me to people such as Gabrielle Bernstein, Brene Brown.
Hmm.
So I really started down that path. And that's really too when it all came to me about coaching.
Hmm.
So it was just light bulbs that were going off in me as I started connecting those dots with those inspirational, motivational, heart centered people.
That's awesome. Let me ask you about the concept of self love. Let's say, oh, how do I approach that? I know that in the entrepreneurial community or community of women who are driven and ambitious, and that's my woman. That's somebody who has a good life, has a good career, and she's always searching and looking for more, right? So sometimes when we have the drive and this go mentality, the concept of, and you just exude this very chill, very relaxed energy. And for somebody who is high energy and a go getter and, let's get stuff done, it can be like been moving on a completely different wavelengths, right? So if somebody is, whether they haven't tuned into the idea of self-discovery deeply quite yet, and they're just on the personal development journey of more in the sense of self-improvement and getting better at this and that, and that's really what happened to me. I started from a place of getting better with time management and this, that, and the other thing, and then it was like bam into a soft spot and things, matters of the heart, and looking at the things that have been just covered with a strong shield of being an overachiever and a strong driven independent woman. And then I found that soft spot, and it was super super uncomfortable, right? And it was felt so vulnerable, and it's like, who is this person? When you strip the achievements and accomplishments and getting things done, it's like, who is that? What's at the core of us? And I think for those over, let's call them overachievers or high achieving women, the concept of self-love, it's like that woo woo, stuff. It's like, what are we even talking about? Is it spa days and manicures? When we talk about self-love, just because it's almost overused right now, right? And it can get misconstrued, but what's the essence of the term? What are we searching for there?
Absolutely. And you said so many things I want to touch on. Like,
Thank you.
definitely, like the manicures and things like that, beautiful. But that's really, yeah, that's part self love, but that's more, I think, self care.
Hmm.
And in regard to the go, go, go woman or man, where it is, I don't want to say necessarily harder to shift into that softer space, but for some it can be. I think it's noticing what you're resisting, because it especially like having on that armor, that shield, and just push push push, go go go, accomplishments. How are you measuring yourself? Sometimes it's a perfectionist thing. I'm a recovering perfectionist, but
The club.
it's yeah, but it's, I think that it's like, what are the things that actually do cause you the discomfort, that feel a little scary? What are you resisting and hiding from? that's that's what you need to explore. So I think that is a really amazing start to open the door to the love and what you really may be missing from your life, and that vulnerability, which, by the way, to me is absolute strength. The vulnerability is not a weakness, and it hurts my heart when people think that it is, because that's what's going to blow the doors open for you, and it becomes something where you're building up so much light and just beauty within yourself, that's what's shining out onto others. You're giving other people permission as well to feel the same. And in respect to self-love, it's not just a matter of, oh, I love myself, I feel happy today, even though that's
Hmm.
great. But
Yeah.
what it really is to me is, it's learning how to trust yourself, how to respect yourself, how to believe in yourself and know your worth. And when you're really stepping into that, and it's not even just thinking that, it's a knowing. It's really a knowing that you are here for a purpose, a reason, and you are enough. That's what it is. As you trust and respect yourself and you carry yourself in that way, it also too is showing other people how you really demand to be treated. I believe that that's raising your energy. You're on like a higher energetic level in how you're carrying yourself. And it's not all rainbows and daisies. It is a practice, it's a choice every day to be believing these things about yourself, even when it's hard, even when it might feel scary. To and it is a process, it is a practice. Um, but those are, I would say, the roots of it are, what are you believing and what are you thinking? Are you respecting yourself? And it's that worthiness. That's where the love is. It's not just like a word or just saying, oh, I love myself, I think I'm
Hmm.
awesome, even though
Yeah,
that ties in, but
for
does that
sure.
help answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's coming up for me, just talking about the idea of self-love and worthiness and self-acceptance. I'm not sure what your story or experience has been with your upbringing, but I can say for myself and a lot of women I have worked with, the idea of unconditional love, or a love that comes without any if this then that, even from our parents. Like for me, I don't remember that always being my experience. And, and I don't blame my parents for that because they didn't know any better. And when we learn and we get to know better, we get to do better. But I remember for me, it was very, um, the response was very conditioned. And maybe I made that up as a child in my head. But when you mentioned Gabby Bernstein, I worked with her and I've been trained by her. And that's her story too. And Brene Brown, I read her books. And she, it's like there is a thread between so many women. And I keep saying women because I work with women only. But the idea of, we've been told that, as you said, oh, you have to be a good girl to be loved, or you have to fit this mold, or another side of it. And that's been my experience for a fact. Oh, you're so good at this. You got a good grade. You achieved this. You accomplished that. And I've been this overachiever and top performer and top of my class, and working a job and going to college and doing this and this. And like, that's what my identity has been built on. So it's like, when you get to the point of thinking that you're good at this and you love yourself and you respect yourself for all your achievements, how do you turn the page from that, equating your accolades to your self-worth, to just saying, oh, by the way, none of this matters. You're just worthy because you are, and you're loved because you are. And it's like, that paradigm just doesn't exist for so many of us.
And it doesn't. And I think that what too can happen for so many is that absolutely you grow up, you have these pushes from society and your culture, your family, and you have all these accomplishments which are fabulous. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's material things, whatever it is you are wanting in your life. But two, sometimes it's not what you're really wanting, but you think that's what you're supposed to have or who you're supposed to be. But I feel that with so many, you're realizing something is missing. You're feeling something within is missing. And um, I think that that's the keeping up with the Joneses, as some people call
Right.
it. You have the house, you have the job, you have the titles, you have the degrees, whatever it is. And it's not to discredit that because it's absolutely amazing, but it's so much often being invested in external validation of your worth. And I know people that they have that quote unquote from outside. It looks like the shiny happy life. They have all the things, all the degrees, the titles, but they are so unhappy inside. And so many of them, when I've spoken with them about it, what they've been missing is a true happiness to really have a worth of just who they are as a being, as just like this human, this soul, really. And to some, that may seem woo woo, like, oh, what is that? But it's a matter of recognizing, who are you as an actual being? What is what are you comprised of within? And for me, I know very much so that I'm very compassionate, very deeply loving. I have sometimes too big of a heart. And it's really those things within that oftentimes I was shoving down because it was more so that, well, what made me worthy as a person is that degree or that job or that financial status or the people I'm hanging around, whatever it may be. But I really knew something was really missing. I felt such a sadness within, such a lacking. And I really realized it wasn't, uh, it really wasn't the truck I was driving. It was whether I had that smile on my face and I held the door open for someone walking into a store. I think it's those things that we notice that fill us up and feel almost like a sparkle inside. It's not,
Mhm.
it's like, sure, maybe the new truck gives you that sparkle for a moment, like that's fun.
Yeah.
But I really think that it's an awareness of and what really lights you up, what humbles you, what feels so centering and grounding for you, especially for people that are maybe go, 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 and they
Mhm.
just feel a flight all the time with things. And such as, for example, it can be very challenging for people to slow down into things such as meditation or gentle yoga, which are two of my favorite jams. But
Mhm.
those are the spaces that can be the hardest to step into because you're really trying to turn off what's going on in here, just all the thoughts, all
Sure.
the things, and you just are thinking of what you have to do, what's next, what you know
Mhm.
um, and it's a slowing down to really connect with what's really lighting up your heart.
I think the idea of slowing down makes so many people uncomfortable, especially those who are very high power, high go go go. And something I heard, oh, it's been a while, but it just struck me so hard. Um, Wherever in the personal development world, I heard the phrase that busy is a trauma response. And I keep referring to trauma repeatedly. You'll hear it in the other interviews because I think realizing that we all have been traumatized to a degree. And last year I had this beautiful conversation with a trauma therapist. And if you haven't heard that, I strongly encourage you to listen to Alexa's interview with Alexis. And we're talking about the fact that whether it's a one event or a series of event, whether it was a drastic, as you said, bullying or physical or sexual abuse, or whether it was accumulation of small little things throughout your life, we carry that pain. And for many of us, busy is a trauma response. So instead of pausing, slowing down and looking at this, whatever is, sitting there, we just get so busy. So we don't have time, just like you said, don't have time to slow down and let our emotions just circulate and feel those feelings. And it's like giving me goosebumps because I know I've been there. It's like, I'm just busy. There was no time to slow down. And then you slow down and it's like, crap, what's all this? Like, it's almost too much when you turn inside. And I think that prevents a lot of people to even heading in that direction. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the hugest things, if not the thing, is so many people are afraid to actually feel what they're feeling. And so they keep themselves busy to avoid it or doing things to buffer those emotions, such as working that much harder, go, 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 gotta go to the gym, gotta go to yoga, gotta work, um, don't even have time for a date night.
Yeah.
You're just constantly keeping yourself so busy, which is really just a label in my mind of buffering from those feelings and really taking that time for yourself because that's exactly what you need. But people are so afraid to feel those feelings because they're afraid, well, what will I feel? And not knowing how to manage those feelings, that's huge. And so I think that that's where it can be so easy to fall into those patterns, especially the high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, oh well, if I keep up with this and this and that, then I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really suffocating the emotions within. They start getting loud. They start getting your attention in ways that you don't like. And sometimes that happens when someone may have like some form of a breakdown or a heartbreak within themselves and they're really realizing, whoa, something is really wrong here. But it can be such a thing where you're push, 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 and keeping up with that busy, 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 when in really actually slowing down and learning how to manage your emotions, which is not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a matter of choosing your discomfort because that is when you are more creative. you create more time. You're creating more of who you want to be and how you want to be showing up. And sometimes that's a scary thing, like you said, for people
Hmm.
to slow down because they're thinking, oh, well, if I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, I'm never going to get this done. I'm not going to um, meet these standards or these expectations. And what's so sad about that is there are certain expectations, if you will, say maybe a job with a boss, things of that nature, or say if you're in school, you have uh, courses and things you have to take and meet. But the biggest thing is that we put such huge expectations on ourselves that they're irrational, and that's hard for us to accept that we can't get it all done. And I think that a lot of people get stuck in that and get stuck in those irrational expectations, and then you're just beating yourself down. And then it's just a vicious cycle because you keep going and going and thinking, well, this is what I have to do. This
Yeah.
is what I have to do to be important and to
Yeah.
feel like you're gaining traction with some form of a success. And it's really important to recognize, where do you actually need to slow down and feel the discomfort of feeling the emotions, because also too, so many people think that you're just supposed to feel happy all the time and just you're always supposed to have the happy reel going. But well, that's a crock. That's not true.
Yeah.
Because it's a 50-50. Life is 50-50, and we're meant to feel the bad. We're meant to feel the bad, especially to know how good the good is. And that can be a scary thing for people, to slow down and actually feel the emotions and to face them.
Love that. That's awesome. Julia, let's wrap up with a couple more questions here. So if somebody's listening to that and saying, you know what, I am on the path of self-improvement and personal development, but this thing you said about something is missing is like catching my attention. And I'm not ready to feel the feelings. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I feel the pull, you know? So if somebody, and I think that's how it starts for all of us, eventually get to the point, it's like something is missing. I got everything I thought I was supposed to, but something is still not there. So if you're speaking to that person, what would be, you mentioned some tools, you know, the idea of slowing down, meditation, yoga, journaling, therapy, right? So, any other tools that come to your mind that you would suggest to somebody who's just starting to peek behind that, you know, that shield, who's just starting to look into those things for themselves?
Absolutely. It's to contact me. No, no, all kidding aside, even though that's true, I really believe the most powerful thing, this is so heavily what I coach on and coach myself through every single day because it's this powerful, is noticing, what are you thinking? What is coming into your mind? And so many of our thoughts are just, they're happening without our awareness. They're just on
Hmm.
a constant autopilot. And so for me, what I would say to someone is to start noticing what you're thinking, even if it's just jotting it down. It could be so random. Oh, I want tacos. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I just called myself fat.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, right? You
Yeah.
just have all these random thoughts. They're coming and going. I want tacos. Oh, I have to pay this bill. Oh, I need to get up. I need to finish this tonight. And oh God, I look like shit today. What?
Hmm. Yeah. All in one breath. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it's really noticing the thoughts, because the thoughts that we have are really creating what we're feeling. And I truly believe that that is what's driving our actions or our inactions or reactions. And that determines results. And when we have these thoughts, especially that we're not even aware of, and we're just feeling awful, it's like, well, what are you thinking? And so that is absolutely what I would say to someone on where to start, is to really notice your thinking, not with judgment, not judging it at all, just being
Mhm.
very curious about it, just being the calm observer of, what are your thoughts? And then that's where to start exploring. And that's what I go deep into with my coaching. But it's just that concept of, um, I say all the time, wow, we really talk shitty to ourselves
Mhm.
all day,
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's starting with the thoughts.
Awesome. I love that. And I'd say the second step, right? Once you become aware of your thoughts, asking for guidance. I think that that's such a strong concept because sometimes we think that we have all the answers and we know everything. And if it's not me, then who? But having trust in your own internal wisdom and your consciousness, right? And that inner being of yours, whatever version of that yourself that you believe, just trust your gut. Ask yourself that question. Now what? I have this thought. Now what? Show me what to do next. Like lead me, whether it's to higher power, God, or you speaking to yourself, right? So just asking for your guidance and taking actions on, as you said, research, looking for resources. And I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say that the journey of self-discovery and personal growth does not end. It does not end. And you're just like an onion. The deeper you get, the layers just keep on going. So as soon as you think you work through something, something else comes up. And I think one of the reasons I'm bringing this conversation to the light, and thank you so much for being a part of it, is I'd love to be a contributor to the concept of normalizing these conversations, of the fact that we all carry baggage and we all have, whether it's deep trauma or some traumatic accumulations, or if it's just life experience, it's a part of being a human. And we live in the time in the world where you have tools and you have resources and you have the opportunity to say, hey, it can be better. I can feel more fulfilled. I can feel more whole if I can spend a little bit of time on getting to know yourself better.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think that that was one of the biggest things for me is to really figure out who am I and who do I want to be. And it can be so scary to ask for help because so many people see that as a weakness. And it's like, oh, newsflash, we're all actually in this slightly different boat, but same boat, right? And so
Oh,
I really love that idea of, and I appreciate so much you wanting to talk about this and bringing it more to light of more of a normalcy with it because that's actually what is normal. And so many want to, like we were talking about earlier, put on like a veil or like kind of like a happy reel that isn't really what's going on. And that's where there's the gap. That's where there's the friction. And it can be scary to ask for help, but that is so powerful. And it's so amazing when you do start sharing what you're feeling, how others are like, oh my gosh, I feel that same way. And
mhm.
it's like, yes, sister, you know, and it opens up the floodgates to the healing. It opens up with learning how to love yourself and going down that path or giving yourself more time and care. And it doesn't have to be so scary. It doesn't have to be so hard. And to when I was saying earlier about um, like searching for what's right for you
Mhm.
because there can be different tools that work differently for one than another.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that it's finding what really resonates with you and what you enjoy. For me, I know that it's meditation, journaling, hiking, coaching, thought work, laughter with beautiful friends such as you, the things that really light you up, and exploring that even deeper and tapping more into what brings you the joy and really feeling the feelings of that and being present with that and really just finding what works for you because I know that it's not just a one catch all for
Absolutely.
everyone.
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. And you do have to try before you can decide whether it works for you or not, and just having an open mind. And you know what, we're gonna use your book as a resource as a good starting point, and I'll make sure to link it in our thank you in our show notes. So let's make sure we have the link for. Do you guys have it on Amazon or is it sold locally only for now?
No, actually, yes. And this is the book. We are so proud of it and happy and just anyone's heart that it reaches is our mission for you to not feel alone and whatever sparks an inspiration within you for healing and for love and truly again just knowing that you're not alone, but it is on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, any like the big major
Agree.
retailers. It's even in Walmart.
Awesome.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. We'll make sure to link it in the show notes and we'll link Julie so you can find her on social media and follow her along. And if you have questions or comments, please do reach out to either or both of us through social media, whatever channel you find us on. Would be happy to continue this conversation off the screen. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you so much.